Welcome to The Love Affair, a relationship podcast. Listen in as we discuss all things love and relationships starting now. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Love Affair podcast. I'm your host, Robin, also known as Robin the Renaissance.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Jim, also known as Jimmy K.
We are continuing the conversation around our love affair. And in our previous episode, we were talking about the day we met and how we built a friendship first. Mm-hmm. And Jim was making some really good points about why you think having that foundation of friendship was so important to us. Yeah. And you made an observation that there are times when new relationships, they kind of skip past or rush through that part. So before we keep the conversation going, I wanted to just linger here just a little while longer and talk about that, because I do think that is a very unique aspect of our love affair, is that not only did we meet when we were 16, but we spent a lot of time cultivating a friendship first. And I know for me, that thread of friendship, that foundation, really is the driving force behind how I love you, my commitment to you, because I feel like not only did I get a husband out of this lifetime, I got my very best friend.
Your very, very best friend.
So, so I wanted to just give you a chance to just talk a little bit more about that, because I didn't want to scooch past it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's not discount, I don't know if discount is the right word, but that was 5 years. We met at 16. I think when we became official, we were 21 years old. So that's a 5-year friendship. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, although I didn't really realize it at the time, when you said before that you valued our friendship when we were 16 years old versus trying to start a relationship, I didn't understand it then. But looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, that was a major is not the right word. That was just like, that was a benefit that I didn't realize at the time. And I'm real appreciative of it now. You know what I mean? So it kind of helped. It really does help us, or really did and does help us now. You know what I mean? Because you're talking about the foundation. You know, I think we view a lot of things, or almost everything, in the view of we're friends as well. Other than, not more so, but we're husband and wife, but we're friends as well. And that kind of, in my mind, give us a deeper connection.
I definitely think.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you and think it gives me a deeper connection to you, because I think you can still know someone or know about someone for a really long time, and a friendship isn't necessarily the outcome of that relationship. Because you think about all the people that we know in passing, we know them, but we don't really know them. And I think when I look over friendships, the kinds of conversations that we have, there's some ease. Ease is probably the word of the day when I discuss our relationship, but I don't want that to sound kind of,
repetitive? Or?
Not even repetitive. It's like, I don't know. If it comes to me, I'll bring it up, but I don't want it to sound kind of like Pollyanna-ish.
Okay.
Like, if your relationship has ease to it, then that must be the one, or whatnot. I don't know if that's what I'm actually trying to say. Let me flesh it out a little bit more.
It's part of it. It's definitely, we're saying it was definitely part of our story. And I think it's part of it. I think in any relationship, because I don't know if it's hard at the beginning. I don't know if that's, I ain't gonna say it's not worth it, but it could be a red flag.
Yeah.
So ease is definitely a factor.
Yeah, and I think what made it easy was, I think, understanding early on what we were doing to help manage each other's expectations.
Right.
So I think there's something around that, hopefully we can touch on it. I feel like I got to think through it just a little bit more to make my point crystal clear. But there was an ease to how we interacted with each other. I felt I could be my authentic, unique, full self.
Yeah. And
or let me go back and clean that up. I don't think I could be my full self. I could be a version of myself with you that I was proud of, that I was protective of, that I did not share with everyone else.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was something that I valued so much. I wanted to make sure that didn't go away.
Yeah.
And there were some things that was going on in my life outside of all of that that I did not let infiltrate the friendship that we were building at that time. So it was a very safe place. And if I use this word, sacred for me.
Oh,
and I knew,
right now.
Yes, because I knew, based on the conversations, based on how I was feeling about myself when I was with you, I knew that I wanted to guard it, and I wanted to handle it differently than I had handled any of my other friendships, any of my other boyfriendships, family ships, you know. I just knew I wanted this to be treated differently because it was different.
Yeah.
And my 16-year-old mind, my 17-year-old mind, my 18-year-old mind could not understand everything that was happening and why I was making those choices. I would just have to say my soul was making a decision for me.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I think it's an underrated factor when you're talking about being friends first, because you talk about the ease of it all. Ease equates to no pressure or less pressure. And you think about when you're trying to have a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship, that can cause one or both to maybe put more pressure on themselves to perform or to be a certain way. Like you said, with the ease, you was able to be how'd you say it? Like a version of yourself, like you a more authentic version of yourself. Same for me, you know what I mean? Because some of the stuff we talked about, and maybe some of the stuff I shared that I like or dislike, if I was trying to impress you, I may not, be so willing to share. So it just takes the pressure off. That I don't have to put on any mask. I can just be who I am. And usually with friendships, you can be as silly, you can be as crazy, you can let your guard down, and that's still gonna be your friend. So I think that's just like I said, it's just an underrated factor that I don't know if a lot of people think about it, because I know I didn't think about it then. I think about it now because I'm more mature and giving more thought to it. But that pressure, taking that pressure off was awesome.
I'm thinking about how a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, those roles can be transactional too. There's love there, there's adoration and respect also, but it's also transactional. It's a agreement that if I perform X, Y, and Z, then I expect you to perform PDQ. And when I feel like my needs aren't being met, then I can, hold you accountable and give you an evaluation. Say, what? Here's what I need. Here's where, here's what you're doing great. Here's an opportunity to improve. Those kinds of conversations you don't have with friends.
Right.
The other thing about pressure to perform and whatnot is there aren't any real rules around friendship other than acceptance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's just, that's just who they are. This is how they are. And I like them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we ever had any did we spar at all?
As friends?
Yeah. In any of those conversations, did we debate and
I honestly don't think so because
kick
I
and
don't
poke?
remember. I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Because I'm trying to remember why I wanted to protect and cherish our friendship, our budding friendship, in a way that I didn't feel like I wanted to with some of my other friendships. And I think because of the dynamics around being frenemies, being transactional friends, being playing different roles in your friend group. Sometimes you're the leader, sometimes you're the follower, sometimes you're just one of the crew, you know. In certain, when you have, like me, I've always had certain pockets and people that I was around, and so in each of those groups, there's a certain role that, you know, I had, and in those different groups, you know, I those relationships, I ranked them differently. You know, some of those friendships lasted, some of them didn't, but for whatever reason, I didn't feel protective of those friend groups in a way that I felt with you. And so I go back to that. I was a version of myself with you that I didn't think I could be in any other group.
Right.
And I'm curious about that now, you know.
Well,
but again, we were 16. We're still figuring out ourselves, and the people around us, our peers, are figuring themselves out as well. And But the thing about our friendship, or any friendship that is that's new, I think we take the pressure to perform off.
Yeah. Because we talked about this earlier today. Once you put that label on there, the expectations will change.
Won't they though?
Yeah. So we didn't. Yeah. So and I just want to make sure, like, this was our story about, you know, it's a 5-year friendship before we got together. That's our story. Not saying it can't happen. You know, if you meet somebody and you're 6 months later, you know, y'all together and still together. Not saying it can't happen.
Right.
But I think my theme, I guess, is that it's an undervalued, valued, or underrated aspect of just taking your time and building slowly. Because I think, especially now, but even then, I think people get into that rush. They want to rush into relationships and I feel like you're losing daylight hours, you're losing time, you know what I mean? So we got to define what we're doing, you know what I mean? And that's not always the case, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, and I guess that, again, depending on that person's age and stage of life and what hour it is on their particular clock, there is that rush and that pressure. And I remember many moons ago, we were at our former church. The married couples were supporting our singles ministry for an event, and we were working the event on their behalf. And I remember they were doing somewhat of a mic toss, and they were asking the single women, or the singles, but it was mostly women there. Go figure. A church, mostly women. Anyway, but there were some guys there too. Oh man, let me linger here for y'all. The initial point I want to make is that the women were talking about how difficult it was to date or to find a suitable partner, to even entertain the idea of dating. And the stipulations that they had, I was like, whoa. I was in the media booth with some other married couples, and we were all sitting there listening to these singles rattle off. He got to have this, he got to pray with me, he got to do this, he got to do that, you know, he got to have, he got to do, he got to be, you know. And the married couples were in the booth, and we were all looking at each other. We were like, we ain't do none of that. And I think part of it is, hey there, are you enjoying the conversation as much as we are? Then let us know. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're here every other Thursday with a brand new episode, and you do not want to miss it. Okay, all right, back to the conversation. I'm not going to get on the church today, but I think part of it is there's this rush and this hurry and this pressure around doing an assessment, and it, for whatever reason, the vision I have right now, because I just watched Terminator 2, was, remember his eye would, you didn't watch it? Okay, you never saw Terminator? You never saw Terminator 2?
No, I never seen. I don't even remember watching Terminator.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay, let me get back on track, because oh my gosh, it was literally just on, and I thought you were watching it as I was watching it. Interesting.
Yeah.
You don't see what I see.
I sure don't. Because I don't know what you saw.
Okay, anyway, okay, I'm off track.
Yeah, my bad.
Reeling it back in. The vision I have is in Terminator 2, I believe it was Terminator 2, his eye, the way he would perceive data, it was like he's looking at something, and then all of these codes and this frame, these things, he was like assessing the target, and everything was happening, and he's a machine. But the way that the women were rattling it off was as if we have this supernatural artificial intelligence embedded in us, that we can look at a person and we size them up.
Yeah.
Oh, height, weight, finance.
Shoes.
Okay, shoot. What's his trauma? Generational curses, generational strengths. Okay. Shoes. Nails. And we're just taking it all in a matter of moments. And I was like, who gave you this criteria? Because I always would simplify. We'll talk about it a little later, but I would, whenever I was talking to a single who was interested in dating or whatnot, and they started to give me their list, I would always simplify it for them. And I would just ask a very basic question like, how do you feel when you're with them? You know, we can get to all that other stuff first, but if you're trying to skip past this person's humanity, the beauty in their own story, you know, if you're not even interested in entertaining a friendship first, you want to go from hello, my name is to
what's your
5-year plan? No natural relationship starts that way.
Just talk.
That's, I would say, do y'all just go and talk and just play? And I remember that was my other thing. What do you like to do for fun? Well, I said, and I would also say this, could you use any more friends?
Yeah.
Because, and some of them would say, I don't need any more friends. I need a man. I need a husband.
In a rush. I think part of that, though.
Okay.
Yeah, part of that, though, is probably their physical needs are starting to show up.
We talk about the fires.
The
what,
fire
how do they say
is
it at
burning.
church?
Yeah.
The passions.
The passion is, you know, and they're trying to keep themselves, you know, from falling.
Okay.
We use that. So I think in their mind, they're trying to rush it along so they can get this.
Get to the D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Quench that fire. Because I'm, you know, I think that's part of it, which I understand. Like. Yeah. I understand that, you know, that's kind of a quandary they're in. You know what I mean? Because, well, I ain't going to say that, but anyway, go ahead.
I would say, okay, sure, if that's it. If they're trying to stay pure meaning abstinent, sure, that will play a role in it. But I also think it's fear.
Fear of what?
Being hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Fear of being disappointed. Fear of
wasting your time.
Yeah. Fear of some form of danger that hasn't even happened yet. For a lot of women who, and I feel for them because I'm like, nobody's perfect, not even you. How is it that you're going to find this person to meet all of these needs that you have? And some of them aren't really needs. Some of them are just some of them are wants, but I know, okay, you're gonna make me step outside of my point a little bit more. Some of them,
I did it?
Yeah, because I'm trying to get back to center, but I keep getting off. But let me just say this. When I was listening to someone's list of quote unquote needs, I was like, that's not a need. Who gave you that need? Because for me, and the reason why I would do that is because sometimes we are absorbing someone else's ideas around marriage and love, and relationships, and we're saying, okay, that's the standard, so then I'm going to add it to my list.
Yeah.
When I'm like, if you really know yourself, your need list isn't that lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
Your want list can be lengthy, but your need list is generally relatively short. Can I tell you why?
Tell us why.
So here's center. Here's me. I'm already to the left of center. But I promise you, I got some breadcrumbs and I'm going to come back to the trail. I'm going to go all the way back into my early childhood educator bag. One of the things that we learned was Maslow's hierarchy of needs in order to reach self-actualization. I remember that from high school, and it has stuck with me. Your very basic needs, fundamental level, what will keep you alive, that list is not very long. Okay? So when people are saying, I need, because the fundamental needs is, I don't remember the pyramid, but it's a pyramid, and the base of a pyramid is always wider. It's a foundation. So the things that we actually need to survive, water, food, and then it goes into like safety. I think there's something about water, food, safety. Short list. As we build from there, okay, now I'm alive. What else do I need? I need socialization. I need to have strong support systems. I need to have activities and things that make my life a little more fulfilled. And then it kind of keeps going up from there, because you need food, you need clothes, you need safety, you need socialization, you need this, that, and the other. And so as the pyramid peaks, your need pyramid gets a little smaller. But anyway, I digress so much from that. Only to say, when you are assessing a relationship, the needs you have in a relationship, in my opinion, are a little more narrow than your wants in a relationship. And out of your want bag, that really goes into a different type of assessment, in my opinion. Where are you getting these ideas? Is it coming from music, movies, TV?
Yes.
Is it coming from your pulpit? Is it coming from your friends, other relationships? Where are you pulling all of this information from? And then what is really a need? Not just what is really a need, what is really a want? Because after you get through that, then you can get into what are my absolute deal breakers.
Right.
And I don't know who, I'm not a relationship coach. I'm a marriage expert here.
Yeah.
But I do remember listening to some women talk, because I worked primarily with women and not men. And I would be curious to hear what men think on it. But
men, I don't know if we really talk, get in depth like that. At least not the people I've been around with. Not that in depth about what it need and all that stuff. I don't really remember, talking to single men
about how they're assessing
I
women.
had one friend though talking about he went through an interview process.
Wait, he was the interviewer?
He was the interviewer. Yes. Like, I think he had like a couple candidates, this is, what I'm talking about.
I almost choked.
I know.
Okay.
But he was like, when he got serious, he's like, he's going to interview.
I hate it.
But, it worked.
What worked?
It worked for him. He got married. But
to one of his interview candidates.
Yes, but I don't think, see, you getting all fired up. You don't need to get all fired up like that. Like,
it's not even my story, but okay, go ahead.
But, I was kind of shocked when I heard it too. But I was like, well, that's a way. That worked for him. Like, he was, that's how serious he took it.
Okay, and it worked for him.
It worked. So
I am judging his process that worked for him.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't.
Right. You're getting fired up again. You need to go and sip some more water and just,
Here's the reason why, though. I'm not. I guess. Again, it sounds very transactional.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, but also, who told people to do this stuff? Because I think the lost art of making a friend is a lost art.
Are you back to center? Is that center now?
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I don't know where I am.
Would you
But
get your feather?
well, here's why. Because I'm gonna go back to where I initially deviated when we were listening to the singles rattle off their list. Yeah. The single men who were at this event, got up there. One of them in particular said, "I want to date a woman in the church, but I'm intimidated to date a woman in the church because I really don't know how to approach you." And he said, "How should I approach you in church?" And again, we were married by this point. Mm-hmm. We met at 16 in church. We're not the standard.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But the women who grabbed the mic, I was like,
I wish I was there that night because I want to. The thing here's
darling, sweetheart, this man is asking how to approach you.
And they get into something super spiritual.
Super spiritual. I was like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I would run. Because remember one lady said this, I know let me say it.
Okay.
The lady said, if I'm pumping gas and a man wants to approach me, I need to see Jesus on him first. If I don't see, and I said, where the hell else you gonna see Jesus? Mm-hmm. You don't make that assessment on anybody else, but the man who wants to step to you while you're pumping your gas. Why can't you just be cordial and act normal?
Right.
Do you do that when you're picking out where you're going to check out at the grocery store? I'm not going to this lane unless I see Jesus on this cashier. Yeah. No, you don't go through life with that lens. In any other scenario, literally, if a man pays you a compliment, you're like, yeah, what you want? What you around here for? What you want from me? It's literally a compliment. And if he's just saying, hello there, can I help you pump your gas? You can say yes. Mm-hmm. You don't owe him an ovary.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Listen.
There's I'm going to park.
I'm going to say this because you asked, what do men talk about? And when it comes to relationships or whatnot, you ask me, the people I know, I never really heard them going in depth like you hear with some women. And I think that's really important because I think men can be so simple, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like a lot of times we don't overcomplicate the process. And from what I'm hearing with the story you're sharing, it's like the women are, sounds bad.
The women that I'm referring to in my stories, not women in general.
Not general, are overcomplicating the process.
Yes.
Just like you said, just hello, how are you? Have a conversation. If y'all want to talk about Golden Girls, talk about Golden Girls. If you want to talk about sports, talk about it. You don't have to get that deep, especially
that fast,
especially when you just met. You don't need to know my 5-year plan. Not right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, just talk and get to know me, you know what I mean? And see if it'll build from there. And then after that, that's when you start asking.
Yeah.
Get more deeper discussions and whatnot. But it goes back to us. I try to bring it back to center. We just talked and we just got to know each other surface, and then it got progressively deeper. Mm-hmm. It wasn't all, maybe because we were 16 years old, I get it, that was a factor that it didn't get too deep, but still, you got to start there. Or maybe I should go this way, the foundation, just start there, get to know them, and then you start building
yes.
here.
Yes.
It's like that. To me, that sounds ridiculous what you just was describing. I wasn't there. I'm talking about when that don't make any sense. It's overcomplicating the process, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like the dude was saying, I don't know how to approach you. You know what I mean? Tell me, and then they come with the, I need to see Jesus on you. Well, maybe I didn't pray that day. Maybe you don't see Jesus on me that day. You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress.
I digress too. I'm going to bring it back to center.
Are you? You sure? Let's bring it back to center.
Back to center.
Are we centered?
We are centered.
Okay.
Because I feel like people miss so many good opportunities
Yeah.
based on criteria that isn't even their own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we were talking about friendship and whatnot. Our friendship, and taking pressure off.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick. In the grant, we talk about wherever you are in your biological clock, and maybe you feel the rush, to get something going. If you think about it like this, in the grand scheme of things, it's still your life, right?
Yeah.
So you still have time. You don't want to rush into something that's going to be a detriment to you 5 years down the road because you're in a rush. Nobody has nobody can see into the future. So
We don't
I
have a
get
crystal
it,
ball.
but still, it's like, again, we're talking from a position of we met each other very young and got together very young. So it's a different lens. But I just hope people don't, if you're 30 years old, still feel like you got to rush when everybody's assuming you got your whole life ahead of you. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to force it. And just, again, start that foundation of just talk, get to know people.
Yeah.
Just talk. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
Yes, all of that was very good. What I was going to say is we don't put that pressure on any other friendship
Right.
that we're starting, but some kind of way the male-female dynamic gets super complicated, and I know why. Genitalia.
Why is it going to be genitalia?
Because of the hormones.
Oh, you're talking about
it
the
complicates.
fire. Is that what you're talking about, the fire?
I think the fire, I think people's, biological clocks,
Okay.
I think people's life plans and whatnot. I understand that. And
Yeah.
I am saying do not lead with that.
Yeah.
Lead with, this is just another human being out of this, 6 billion on the planet.
Something like that.
This is another human being I have the opportunity to get to know.
Yeah.
Do not lead with, I'm looking for my spouse. I'm looking for my life partner. Mm-hmm. You miss out, a person can miss out on so many opportunities to just have a good friend, a good contact, a good reference, a good inroad into some other thing. Like the way that people go through life, because I was one of them, I was throwing people away for the most random things. And I'm looking over that now, and even looking through the lens of love, is that I was discounting so many people's humanity and their own stories, that I didn't give enough people enough chances to build deeper relationships with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a different story. I don't want to get into that. I'm talking about the fact that if you are single and looking, single and interested, if you take the pressure off yourself and the other person to just know, I'm just getting to know the person. I'm not getting to know them through the lens of what kind of spouse they'd be, what kind of parent they'd be,
Right, yeah.
what kind of applicant they are, interviewing people. Honestly, truly, that I had a visceral response to that, because the way that we get to know people in any other setting is we are assessing, but we're not telling people you're one of the 3 candidates that I am considering for life partnership.
Well, I don't know if he said that, but I don't know if he said that. And it's you have to calm down just a little bit.
Okay. Calming.
Yeah. Centered.
I
don't know if he told him that. I don't know, but that's just what he told me.
And I will tell you this, one of my clients, she's married. She's in her second marriage. And she was talking about, after her divorce and getting back into the dating pool, she had a list. And I think one day she shared her list with me, and I was like, this list is exhaustive.
Yeah.
But, okay. And so the challenge was that she wasn't finding anyone who could meet
all those needs,
all of the many things on this list. And so she told herself, I think it was at the top of a year or something, she said she's going to approach dating differently. And she said, I'm tossing out my list. Because what she was actually using her list for was when she was going out with people, she was like, he made me laugh. I like someone with a sense of humor. Go to my list.
Huh.
Check. Oh, yeah, he's been on his job. So many. Oh, okay. And she went back to her list. She kept using her list as a reference. And I'm not saying be a dummy about it.
Right.
But I'm also saying you're dealing with
kind of balance here. Or,
Yeah.
You said something about that earlier about talking to whoever that single person
That was somebody at an event. I don't know him.
Okay, well, whatever. Would you ask him, how does he make you feel? Or how do you
Oh,
feel?
yeah. Those are some of my clients and other friends and stuff when they were going through that. And it's kind of like,
yeah.
And
that's
what do you mean? Like with all this other stuff, so X amount in the bank, X job, X this relationship with the family, with that and I'm like, to every expectation that you have, trust me, there is an equal and opposite expectation to that, because here's the thing, and I'm veering off. I keep saying I'm coming to center, but something on the left is pulling me.
It ain't me. This is all you're doing, man.
It's pulling me over there because I don't know why I just thought about this when a lot of women say, I want someone who's really close to his mom and has good family ties. Yeah. I'm like, that is beautiful. Let's walk through what that really looks like, ma'am, because that means there can be the potential for conflict when his family obligations are pulling him from his love and relationship obligations with you.
Because same way with a hard-working man,
I want a man, yes,
and hard-working, yeah, that's gonna happen.
He's hard-working, and there will be opportunities when his work ambitions are going to rub up against your recreation expectations.
Rub you raw.
And it can rub you raw. You know what I mean?
That was terrible.
So that's all I'm saying is zoom out. You can have your list, but zoom out just a little bit. And then actually think through what you're asking for.
Yeah.
I'm going to also mention this because I'm way off center. But again, conversations where I try to allow women to just breathe a little bit. Just ease up on yourself, ease up on them just a little bit. Okay? I remember talking to some women about the men in their church. And I remember one in particular was like, I'm going to have to be a bishop's wife. My husband going to have to be active in the ministry. And you and I will work in the ministry.
Yeah,
And I said, you don't want that.
You don't want that. You
don't want that.
You think you want that.
But of course, first I got to ask some clarifying questions. What about that appeals to you? Oh, because when so-and-so is praying at church, I love how he prays over his family. And when he gets the mic, I feel it,
Yeah, no.
And whatever. And they were talking about the Sunday morning highlights, the Wednesday night highlights during prayer service and things like that. And I said, you don't want that. You don't even know what you're asking for.
Right. The amount of just time. Anyway, I don't even.
But because sometimes they think that looks really good, and I'm like,
but it's a
schedule a meeting. Schedule a meeting with the first lady. Schedule a meeting with the wives of these ministers, and to find out what life is really like outside of the four walls. And most of them will tell you, it is not glamorous. It is quite different.
Yeah.
You may not want that.
No. That's yeah.
So, and that's all I'm saying is consider what you're asking for and why you're asking for it, and then make your list at that point. But we were talking about being friends first.
Being friends first, and you was talking you didn't let me finish earlier.
I didn't.
No, you was talking about how does a person make you feel?
Yes.
That was big for me. How could I say it? That was like the driving factor for me. Like, how did you make me feel, or how I felt about myself when I was around you? That was such a, I think, a question that people got to ask themselves. Like, you know, what I mean, like you said, people have their list and the wants and needs, which are important, especially to them.
Important.
But how does that person make you feel? And how does that person make you feel about yourself? And then you go from there. I think that's a good jumping off point, instead of, I need to know his 5-year plan, or wonder what type of father he's going to be. Usually, typically, if you like how they make you feel, and like how you feel with them, I think a lot of the other stuff down the road, not all, but a lot of that stuff will kind of line up, you know what I mean, to what you need or what your vision is or something like that. You know what I mean? So, I think it's, start there first.
That's all the time we have for today, but we're definitely continuing the conversation in the next episode. You don't want to miss it. Before you go, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate, follow, do all of those things that will let us know you enjoyed the conversation and that you support us. That would really encourage us to keep going. So until next time, thank you so much for listening, and take care.